Yo, what's up, Swag Gang? You already know what time it is, man. It's your boy Keon Lard, aka KL Swag, back here with a video, man. Look, you guys, we're about to react to the Ray Lewis murder mystery, bro. Ray Lewis killed somebody? He killed somebody? I don't know, bro. Shout out to Microphone, bro. Ray Lewis murder story, bro. Well, murder mystery. So look, man, let's just get into the reaction, bro. Ray Lewis like one of the best linebackers.
Football career of Ray Lewis almost ended 13 years ago.
If there's something in your life that you know need changing, make sure you change it before God changes.
A fight breaks out, and when the dust settles, Jason Baker and Richard Lawler are left in the street.
Because if he changes, you might not like it.
Damn.
A slide to the left, shimmy to the right, a wiggle of the legs, two chest
Bro, Ray
bumps,
Lewis
a
is
lean
big.
back and a scream to the sky. If you're a Baltimore Ravens fan, let alone a football fan, you are all too familiar with the squirrel dance. The man who danced many a Sundays on a 100-yard field, hash marked and logoed, a dance that has been emulated by professional athletes, wedding parties, and even preschoolers, is an outspoken, revered, but also hated man by those who believe he committed an abysmal crime 20 years ago.
Wow.
If there's something in your life that you know needs changing, make sure you change it before God's got to change it. Because if God's got to change it, you ain't gonna like it. Ray Lewis. This man, who is now 45 years old, has a New York Times bestseller, a bust in Canton, Ohio, is a prominent TV sports analyst, and has made millions of dollars and has witnessed his children grow into young adults and even athletes themselves.
Okay.
This is a man who rose stadiums to their feet, exalting his name as he led the city of Baltimore to not one but two Super Bowl victories through a turbulent but star-studded 17-year NFL career. However, that man 20 years earlier was a witness, and some say participated in an activity that marred his silver-lined life. In January of the year 2000, during the ecstatic peak of Atlanta, Georgia nightlife, in the wee hours of the morning after the Super Bowl matchup between the St. Louis Rams and the Tennessee Titans, future Hall of Fame NFL linebacker Ray Lewis was accused of participating in the ultimate act of violence, a double murder. You know what they say, nothing good happens after midnight, especially at 3:30 in the morning.
Oh, that was late. Woo! Hey, bro. This is crazy. Hey. I fuck with that intro, bro.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. Guys, if you happen to see the Marvin Harrison murder mystery, the Steve McNair murder mystery, and the biggest tragedy in NFL history, then you already know why you're here, and you know this is going to be a great video. We're on the grind for 100,000 subscribers, so please take a moment to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on my notifications.
I need to get to 100,000.
If you are a fan of the content. In addition to this, I live stream on Twitch
We're gonna
on
get there.
Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 9 p.m. Pacific time. A link to that's in the description down below. At the age of 13, Ray Lewis was part of a dance group called the Hardy Boys, who stepped it up for competitions every Sunday and participated in parades near his hometown of Lakeland, Florida. In that group, Ray Lewis had a friend who had a very unique way of dancing that stuck in his mind throughout his years of football. In an ESPN article from 2008, Lewis recounts, "In my hometown, Kirby Lee, a childhood friend of mine who was in the armed forces, always used to do this dance. We named the dance the squirrel, the way the squirrel moves. He always did it. Kirby was my biggest fan. He has my number tattooed on his shoulder. I told him that one day I would do his dance, and he said, 'No, you won't. I'll never forget it.' I got in front of the mirror, and I started flowing with it. The next week, I go to Marvin Lewis, who was the Baltimore Ravens defensive coordinator at the time, and said, 'Look, man, they're going to introduce the defense. The stadium needs some excitement.' And he was like, 'Go ahead and do your thing.' How did Ray Lewis earn the spot to be part of the starting introduction and kicking off Ravens home games with the Squirrel for so many Sundays?
What?
An All-American linebacker and running back, and also a wrestler at Kathleen High School in Lakeland, Florida, Ray
Damn.
earned a scholarship to play Division I football for the dominant Miami Hurricanes, a football powerhouse located just a few hours down the I-95. For
Wow.
the Canes, Lewis earned All-American honors for 3 seasons, All Big East honors for 2 seasons, and in his final year was a finalist for the Top Linebacker in the Nation award, declaring for the
Damn.
NFL draft after his junior season.
With the 25th selection in the first round, the Baltimore Ravens have selected Ray Lewis, linebacker, University of Miami.
The Baltimore Ravens, who were about to commence their first season in the NFL, selected a 6'1" middle linebacker from Lakeland, Florida, who would eventually be enshrined
He's 6'1". He looks 6'5" to me, bro. Just looking at him, he looks 6'5", bro. Dude is big as hell, bro.
as a statue standing outside their stadium and a banner hanging from the rafters. In his 17 years as a dominant middle linebacker for the Ravens, Ray put up first ballot Hall of Fame numbers, including 2 Super Bowls, a Super Bowl MVP, 8 All-Pro selections, and 13 visits to the Pro Bowl. He's
Damn.
the only player in the NFL with at least 40 sacks, 41 and a half to be exact, and 30 career interceptions. Lewis's highlight reel is filled with top 10s, best of the best, and you can't miss these highlights. Ray Lewis is notorious for stopping even the most dominant players of the NFL, often
Damn.
coming right up the middle, obliterating the offensive lineman to get straight to the quarterback. His first sack of his career, no other than his future head coach's brother, Jim Harbaugh, all the way back in 1996.
He put
Another major
everybody on
highlight.
their ass.
In a 133-14 wild card victory in Foxborough in 2009, Ray Lewis sacked Tom Brady after the Baltimore Ravens had gone up 14-0. The sack came on a Lewis blitz that stunned Patriots running back Lawrence Maroney. Ray Lewis may be one of the few to have a solid
Damn.
advantage over Tom Brady. He had faced Tom Brady 3 times in the playoffs, coming out victorious twice. Even to end his career, Ray Lewis
I'm not gonna lie, bro. If I was running back coming at Ray Lewis, bro, I just fall to the ground, bro. Or I don't know. Ray Lewis a big ass dude, bro. I don't know at that moment. I really don't know, bro. Damn, bro. Ray Lewis is big.
who was out most of the season with a torn right triceps injury, worked his way back into top playing shape to continue his dominant ways when the Ravens took on the 49ers and head coach and the first player he's ever sacked, Jim Harbaugh, in the Super Bowl. The last game of Ray Lewis's career. Ray was remarkable in the game as he had been for the last 17 years. Perhaps the most iconic plays of the game involved Lewis. On the final drive by the 49ers, Lewis made 2 crucial tackles, and then it was time to stop the young lightning quick Colin Kaepernick on the final 3 plays from the 5-yard line. The first 2 passes fell incomplete, and then it was the final play where Ray Lewis's defensive and the secondary behind him forced Colin Kaepernick's final heave out of bounds. Ray Lewis had done it again, and for a final time, let the rush of silver streamers and purple confetti fall down on him as he raised the Lombardi Trophy high.
Oh, they won that?
On a
Damn.
goal line stand in the Super Bowl. What better way to end an exciting and exhilarating career?
Wow.
Every breathtaking highlight and accolade listed in ink for Ray Lewis, there is some darkness that surrounds the Hall of Fame player. That darkness is specifically when Ray Lewis was charged with 2 counts of murder, but ultimately ended in the conviction on charges of obstruction of justice related to the stabbings of Jacinth Baker and Richard Lawler in Atlanta during Super Bowl week 20 years ago.
Wow.
Ray Lewis was only 24 years old in January 2000, but he was a star, an NFL linebacker clouded in a black and white suit and a black mean coat, adorned with enough diamonds and bling to buy a several-bedroom home in most cities. I mean, he was 24 years old with a $26 million NFL contract. The destination for Lewis that night was the Buckhead district of Atlanta, Georgia, which at the time was notorious for their streets being lined with bars and clubs, filled with hip-hop culture and the ultimate going-out spot, specifically in the night following the Super Bowl. One of those clubs was Cobalt, now a Japanese restaurant, which on that night was filled with celebrities, athletes, models, gang members, and of course, wannabes. Ray Lewis, like many others, was looking for a good time. He had his personal driver, Duane Fassett, chauffeuring a Lincoln Navigator, but not your typical Navigator. This was a 37-foot-long, 14-seat, $3,000 a day stretch limo. In that limo with Lewis was also a beautiful woman named Jessica Robertson.
Ooh.
Not his pregnant fiance, but a woman who he had met a few nights earlier at a party hosted by Magic Johnson. Around 1 a.m., early by Atlanta club scene time, he arrived at the Cobalt Club. But instead of taking a seat in the VVIP room, Lewis was on the first floor near the door so to catch the eye of anyone and everyone. Also with Lewis that night was Joseph Sweeting, a strip club promoter, who Lewis had known for several years since college. And Reginald Oakley, also a friend who had been around. The day before, these friends were also together, where Oakley and Sweeting had bought folding knives at a Sports Authority store while Lewis was conducting an autograph session. After several Remy Martin cognacs consumed by Lewis and other beverages that his friends and acquaintances drank, it was now 3:30 a.m. in the morning, and the entourage, that was around 10 people, including 4 women, headed out the door. According to eyewitnesses and court documents, Oakley was getting mouthy with a couple of guys from another room in the club.
Okay.
And then Oakley on the sidewalk outside the club got hit in the side of the head with a bottle of bubbly. As Ray Lewis said in a future testimony, all hell broke loose at that point. Everybody was throwing fists. Everybody was punching. That is, everyone minus Lewis, who said he was observing while leaning against the navigator while Sweeting, his friend, was assaulted by 2 rather large men.
Ooh.
Lewis would testify, "I don't fight." However, during that fight, 2 young men lie on the street, pools of blood forming underneath them. The victims were Richard Lawler, 24, and Jacinthe Baker, 21. Now, they weren't upstanding citizens, both had police records, but nevertheless, no one deserves to die at a young age or in such a violent manner.
Yeah, that's true.
Lawler had 5 stab wounds, 2 to the heart, 1 to the chest, and 2 to the abdomen. Baker was also stabbed straight through the heart and liver, and his face was in such disarray that there was a closed casket at his funeral. Both men were buried in Akron, a football hotbed located less than 30 miles away from the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio.
Wow.
Lewis, seeing how the incident had led to blood and perhaps death, called for his crew to return to the limo, tires squealing as gunshots rained on their exit parade. The limo returned to a Holiday Inn Express where Sweeting was staying, and Lewis took a cab back to his hotel, the Georgian, a 20th century Beaux Arts beauty of a hotel. In witness recounts, the limo driver, Fassett, told the authorities that he saw Sweeting, Oakley, and Lewis all fighting, and said he heard Oakley said, "I stabbed mine," and Sweeting making the reply of, "I stabbed mine too." When police opened the hotel room in Lewis's name, they found blood, but not Ray Lewis, as he had rushed to his fiance's family's home. At 6 a.m. after the murders, Ray Lewis phoned his female friend, Jessica Robertson, requesting that she go to the Georgian Hotel and pack everything she had left in there. In recounts later on, Lewis told Miss Robertson and Robertson's brother to throw away a bag in his room that weighed about 4 pounds and made clanking noises. Witnesses said they saw men and a female exiting a large navigator with a bag of laundry which was thrown into a dumpster. The investigation unit never found the black and white suit or black mink coat Lewis wore that night. Lewis had the Baltimore Ravens and his own private investigator one step ahead in the investigation process. Eyewitnesses suddenly began to change their stories, and all who were part of Lewis's entourage were equipped with their own attorneys. The trial was 4 months later, in a time that Ray Lewis should have been in NFL minicamp in Baltimore. During the trial, the driver, Fassett, recounted his story. He said under oath that he never saw Lewis hit anyone, and that brings us back to our original quote.
Oh, that's what's up.
If there's something in your life that you know need changing, make sure you change it before God changes it. Because if he changes, you might not like it.
On June 4th, Ray Lewis's legal team and the prosecution agreed on a plea deal. Lewis would testify against Oakley and Sweeting, and in turn, he, Lewis, would receive a 1-year probation on the obstruction of justice. He also admitted to telling the people from the limo to shut the f up on tape, and Lewis later said in court that Sweeting had shown him the 4-inch chameleon knife at the Holiday Inn within minutes of the incident. And Sweeting had showed him in a punching type motion how he had used the knife. Robertson also took a plea deal of providing several garment bags to prosecutors, but none contained a black and white suit or a mink coat. Also, Jessica Robertson never had to testify in court. On June 13, 2000, after a mere 5 hours of deliberation,
Damn, this wasn't
some
even-
newspapers said
I was
it
a
only
baby.
took 30 minutes, but the jury would acquit Sweeting and Oakley of charges of murder and assault. Their reasoning was self-defense. Later on, Ray Lewis settled civil suits with the victims' families for an undisclosed sum of money, supposedly millions, and in his book he would state, "I could not bring those two young men back. I had no hand in their deaths. I could not ease the suffering of those families, but I had so many blessings in my life. I told myself I could use some of those blessings for those good people. They were hurting. I was hurting. It was not an admission of guilt. It was an expression of love, of sympathy. I gave because I had it to
Sad, bro.
give. I knew that money would never bring back what the families wanted most, but they asked for it, so I gave." As far as Ray Lewis's thoughts now regarding that night in Atlanta 20 years ago, he
Okay.
still holds no regrets. "If I had to go through all of that over again, I wouldn't change a thing. I couldn't. The end result is who I am now." Just like Ray Lewis becoming a changed man of God and putting the past of the year 2000 behind him, the area of Buckhead, Atlanta has transformed dramatically. The area that was once clubs and bars, with revelry existing until the wee hours of the morning, is now filled with upscale restaurants, luxury
Ooh,
boutiques,
okay.
and retail destinations such as Hermes, Dior, Jimmy Choo, and Louboutin. The Super
Okay.
Bowl was again held in Atlanta in 2019, and NFL players were more likely to be having a Riviera-style sea bass lunch at Atlas or purchasing a designer sports coat than being belligerent in the streets outside of a club at 3:30 a.m. That's probably a good thing. As someone once said, there isn't ever anything good that happens after midnight.
Damn.
Thanks for watching our latest murder documentary. If you really enjoy the content,
Damn, bro, that is crazy, bro. Anyways, man, make sure you subscribe and see you guys in the next video. Woo! Wee! Damn, Ray Lewis. You one big ass dude.